nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, if you can do roll call, please.
Mayor Beagle is excused. Deputy Mayor Resnick is excused. Councilmember Behrman.
Present.
Councilmember Gotchel.
Here.
Councilmember Grenlund Fox.
Here.
Councilmember Sharp.
Present.
Councilmember Smiley.
Here.
Quorum present.
Thank you. Any changes or additions to the agenda from the administration?
I do not have any specific additions or changes, but I do just want to point out that we have supplied from administration an additional memorandum related to new business number 2. So I just wanted to make note of that. There is additional information in front of you all, and we'll reference it later during that item.
Thank you. Any changes or additions from City Council? Good to go? Okay. First item is approval of the minutes for the special City Council meeting of February 13th, 2024. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support.
Support. Move. Support.
We have a motion and a second in some combination over there. Any comments or corrections? Everybody good? Okay. All those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes. We have one item of correspondence from the Walled Lake Consolidated School District regarding their improvement bond proposition for the May ballot. First, call to the public. I will read the rules for the call to the public. Public shall address the council during the call to the public, which shall be included on the agenda immediately after correspondence and again immediately after new business. The first call to the public immediately after correspondence shall be limited to agenda items only. A person shall not address the council in excess of 5 minutes unless the time is extended by a majority vote of the council present. Persons wishing to address council shall identify themselves and their place of residence and shall state their reason for addressing the council. All comments by the public shall be made directly to the council. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak about any agenda items? Seeing no one, we will close the first call to the public. Moving on to the city manager's report. Any questions or comments about the departmental report? Councilmember Sharp.
Thank you, Mr. Gotchall. I had one question for Tim. I'm not sure if you saw my email today regarding the report from HRC. In the report, they say they're in the process of preparing plans and specifications for the city's generator installation. I went back to the minutes of October 24th when we approved that $35,700 plan, and I had some concerns at the time. And now in that approval, it said the plans and specifications would be 100% done in the month of January 2024 and would be out for bidding in February of 2024. That was what we approved. And it doesn't appear that's the status of that contract. Can you enlighten me as to where we are on the plans and specifications for the generator, and if we're behind, what is the plan for HRC to get back on track to the $35,000 we paid them to be on track to get the specifications out so we can get the bidding and get the thing installed? Because right now we've spent $100,000 on a generator that didn't do anything for us.
Well, first of all, we haven't spent the $100,000 on the generator yet. We haven't received it. Secondly, in fact, we were working on that again today. There were some added questions regarding the interconnection between the generator that's currently there and the switch gears that we currently have, and the addition of adding the rest of this area to that new switch gear. They should have that within the next week or so, and we should have it out in time, for the generator, when the generator arrival. And there were some added things that were in question. The natural gas was one of them that wasn't discussed with the generator folks. The added use of natural gas on that they're still working out some details on that, and we should have it out to bid here soon.
Okay, maybe then in the future updates from HRC on that one in particular, but in general, you know, their updates are boilerplate. I'd like to see a little more detail. If they're behind, just say they're behind. They ran into some problems, but it's the same set of words since we approved it in October, working on it, but nothing real substantial about status. We got a lot of things the city's working on, including your department is really taxed with tons of projects that we keep piling onto you, and
And we're working on them.
I know you're working on them, but the status there just said, hey, we're working on it, just like everything else. So it just would be good to know that we're making progress or we're not on some of the
Okay.
HRC items. And please check your email from Monday, because I sent that to you and to Steve Brown so that you'd be prepared, like we've discussed prior.
I appreciate
I'm
that.
sorry you missed it, but
Yep. Currently, I have 242 emails that I haven't looked at.
yeah, see, we just keep piling on you.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Grumman Fox.
Mr. Sigma, I tried to catch you, sorry. So I don't have a question per se unless I'm missing something. But with the PFAS reports that you provide, and it has so for the PFOIA, it has 3.8, the PFAS has 3.2. Can you give a scale of what's acceptable or what's
So-
allowable?
Yeah, currently, our limit at the effluent discharges are 11 parts per trillion leaving the treatment plant. And I think Ruben has the IPP charge, or the IPP regulations for that, but we can put that in the table in the future.
I'm just
That
wondering.
would be helpful.
So when you show this, it's great, but I have no idea what that means, or if it's within the allowable range, that's all I'm looking
Yep.
for. Okay.
Yeah, no, they are all in the allowable range currently, and we will make note of that, but then we'll also make note of violations as they occur for PFAS.
Great, thank you.
All right? Yep.
Thank you, Jim.
Anything else?
I think we're good.
Thanks.
Thank you. Moving on, we have no consent agenda items this evening and no unfinished business. So in new business, number 1, we have a presentation from City Clerk candidate Crystal Apalco.
Good evening, everyone. So, I'm here tonight to present you with a brief presentation on why I want to be the next city clerk for Wixom. So let's start off by highlighting some clerk duties. As you know, the city clerk responsibilities are listed within the Wixom City Charter. And the clerk's responsible for keeping the records of the city council. Like in our office right now, we have a document that accounts for every action from city council from the 1950s until now. Because Michigan is one of 34 states that administer elections at a local level, the clerk is responsible for administering elections within its community. In Wixom, the clerk is also responsible for administering oaths of office to any elected official or appointed official. And how does the city clerk's office in Wixom work? Well, we operate with 2 full-time employees. We get help from the city manager's office or the clerical floater during our busy times. We're open to the public. We handle correspondence from them daily. We issue them garage sale permits or process their passports or even issue a dog license. Because transparency is so important in government entity at this time, FOIA, or Freedom of Information, has become a critical task among clerks. We have to, if there's a request, we locate the information, redact it, and provide it to the requester. A little bit about me. So personally, I was born and raised in Walled Lake. I went to Walled Lake schools. I graduated from Walled Lake Western. I've been married to my husband for nearly 18 years. We have 2 incredible boys, Jay and Jack. I'm active in my local church. I enjoy camping and spending time outdoors. Professionally, I've served in Wixom as the deputy clerk since 2013, and before that, I spent 13 years with the city of Walled Lake in various roles. I'm a certified municipal clerk, and I'm a certified professional Michigan clerk. I'm currently working on my master municipal clerk certification. I'd like to consider some of my career experiences to include being part of at least 45 elections. Throughout the years, there's been so many changes with election law, and I believe that I've adapted to them as necessary. I've participated in the implementation of new voting equipment, installed ballot boxes during the pandemic. I would say some of my highlights of my career would have been being nominated for Oakland County's 40 Under 40, obtaining all my certifications, and and successfully merging the city's precincts to bring a cost savings to the city. Some priorities I have, if I were the next clerk, I'd make it a priority to continue with the excellent customer service that the residents have come to know, provide the smoothest transition possible as we move from the former clerk to the new clerk. I would implement community outreach by setting up voter registration drives or passport fairs, and just becoming a regular presence within the senior center and the library during the clerks or during the election time, just to help them in any way that I could. Why I believe I'm the right fit as your next clerk would be the significant experience I have with working with your clerk and other clerks throughout the state. These relationships, they offer an overwhelming amount of support. And within our field, additionally, I have deep connections within the city of Wixom and the residents. I care about this community and its well-being, and I just strive to be the best, clerk I can by continuing my education and excellent customer service and just making the resident my top priority. So thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Councilmember Grundlin Fox.
Thank you for that presentation. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So one of the things that you mentioned on how the city clerk's office works, we maintain physical and electronic records of the city and serve as the FOIA coordinator. You said you believe there are opportunities to improve the central location for all employees. I won't read all that, but can you talk a little bit more about that as far as what you believe you could do to improve that?
Sure. I think digital records are the way that of the future, and they're easy accessible among every department here. So my goal is to have one central location on a public drive where they can bring up a contract, find the minutes when it was approved at what meeting, and it have the council motion and everything all in one location. And so that's been a huge priority of mine, and I cannot wait to get that going.
Is it in the works right now?
It's started. It's just a huge undertaking.
Okay.
And so we keep kicking it, keep kicking the can down. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Sharp.
Thank you. Ms. Opalko, thank you. Wonderful presentation and really very solid background that you have. One of the things that's come up recently, not just in generally, but then also we've heard it in the Wixom clerk's office, is the pressure that's on now from so many sources and so many people, nitpickers and peanut gallery folks that are just pushing and criticizing various clerks around the country, and that pressure has its toll. And including we have to, there's more days of pre-voting and more days of voting and more staff requirements. And I guess ultimately I just want to ask you, are you ready for that pressure? Because that, in my mind, that's a little different than being the deputy clerk versus being the clerk. That pressure is going to come from outside to you as clerk, whereas before it was any pressure applied to you was probably through the clerk. Are you ready for that kind of, the magnifying glass, being under the magnifying glass, more so in the clerk's job than in the deputy clerk's job?
Yes, I am now. When the ACLU contacts us, they contact us. They don't contact just Kathy. I have to answer to everything that I put my name to. I have to account for every election integrity that I have to give to every resident, voter, anywhere out there. So I'm already in it. I'm already in the thick of things. The difference is I'm going to sit in a different spot, quite honestly, in the building. And I think that's true, don't you think?
Yes.
We're one and the same. I mean, we threw our hat in the ring. Here we go. Like, that's how I feel. Like, so, quite honestly, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions? Councilmember Smiley?
Hello, Crystal. Thanks for the presentation. I enjoyed it, and I'm ready to make a motion if you want me, if there's no more questions.
Do you have a question?
I was going to make a motion, but
Okay.
if he wants to make the motion, I will second the motion.
Okay.
I want to make the motion. Okay. I'd like to make a motion that the city council authorize the city manager to work with the Wage and Salary Committee to negotiate an offer of employment with Crystal Opalko for the position of city clerk.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Thank you. Crystal, I believe you're good to sit if you want.
Well, thank you.
Any questions, comments, debate on the motion? Councilmember Sharp.
Thank you. I mean, you know how I love surprises. I saw that note that we were asked to make the motion. That's potentially fine with me. I just want to know, what does that mean? Will that then come back to council for final approval in terms of salary and the offer and all those things?
What we received said that anything that was worked out with terms would come back to us for approval. as
Okay.
council.
So there's one more shot, I don't mean it like that, but we'll have one more discussion opportunity before.
If it's within the terms of wage and salary, I'm not sure we would we?
We would. Assistant City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Gotchel. Yes, because it's a direct mayor or city council appointment, you would be brought all of those terms. The primary reason for this particular recommended motion was we know that there's a priority for, if we are going to move forward with Ms. Opalko, that to then start being able to recruit a deputy city clerk. So that's really the idea. You'll get a second shot, but then that gives us the opportunity to at least have some clarity on, like, all right, we know how this is going to go, and we can start moving that process.
Second shot doesn't sound, I tried to pull that one back.
No,
I just want to be sure we're all, because as we had talked about before, because it's a direct hire of the city council, that city council, I would think, would have to vote on the terms.
And looking at the reading of the recommendation, I think what would be authorized with a yes vote tonight is city manager and wage and salary negotiating an offer of employment, not to execute an offer. So
Okay.
that's my interpretation at least. Any other questions or debate? No? Okay. We have a motion and a second to authorize the city manager to work with Wage and Salary Committee to negotiate an offer of employment with Crystal Opalko for the position of city clerk. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes. All right. Second piece of new business is a recommendation to approve, still going to read this as it was written, and then we can get into the thick of it. Number 2, recommendation to approve a 3-year contract for annual downtown flower installation and maintenance with Landscape Design and Associates, LLC of Brighton, Michigan, in the amounts of $14,469 for fiscal year 23-24, $55,292 in fiscal year 24-25, $57,275 for fiscal year 25-26, and $41,562 for fiscal year 26-27 from Downtown Flowers account number 248-729-956-016.
So moved.
Support.
Thank you. We have a motion and support. Any questions or comments? We'll start with the Assistant City Manager to talk about the DDA meeting.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I did want to, before we start diving into City Council's conversation, I did want to cover the DDA's conversation on this very topic. Normally, we would bring these items not on the same day to the DDA and City Council to avoid any potential kind of confusion between recommendations. Part of the reason we brought them both at the same meeting, because they're the same day, is we were hoping to order the flowers as quickly as possible. The earlier that we order them, the kind of better choices we get. So that's what led to this. Now, at the DDA meeting this morning, there were some questions about the amount of money called for in this contract and over the term of it, over these 3 years. With that in mind, there were some questions in terms of whether the service delivery could be done differently, i.e., do we look at doing a city staff? Do we attempt to look at different vendors? Some of those questions. The DDA board ultimately moved forward with a recommendation to approve the first year of this contract, so a 1-year agreement. And a motion to that effect was provided in the additional memorandum that city administration provided to you all prior to the meeting. Now I can dive into a little bit more depth, the process that got us to this point. We are aware, in past years we've had some concerns about the cost that comes with procuring, installing, and maintaining the downtown flower baskets over the course of the summer. And so we put it out to bid again. We wanted to see if we could get other proposals. The DDA director, Laura Cloutier, who is here tonight, she really led that effort. Ultimately, we only got one proposal. We had 19 different firms that actively looked at the opportunity to bid on it, including other vendors who worked with the city. Ultimately, Landscape Design and Associates was the only that submitted a bid in early February. With all of these kind of factors in mind, one of the questions was the value that we get from the service, right? What is the service? And, on attempting to normalize to an hourly basis, is that a good deal? So one of the additional pieces of information we put together was an estimated hourly cost. I'm not going to dive into that whole chart, but suffice to say, this contract bills us on a monthly basis for a general terms of service. We do not pay hourly for a service from this provider, and they're responsible for providing all the equipment, all of the labor, all of their insurances. It's kind of a set it and forget it sort of service where they will water them, they will fertilize them, they'll cut off the dead flowers, and they install them for us. With all of those factors in mind, we have been satisfied with the service over the years. Again, if City Council would like to have a further conversation about alternative ways of looking at this, we're happy to entertain that. But at a minimum, we do recommend approving the recommendation for at least doing the first year, so that we can maintain the flowers that we have, if you all do want to consider looking at alternative service provision arrangements. With that, if there are any additional questions, I'd be happy to, or Laura or Mr. Sikma may be able to be of assistance.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Comments? Debate? Councilmember Behrman?
Thank you. I'm more inclined to agree with possibly the 1 year than the 3 year, but I'm really still not sure I'm comfortable with the number any way we look at it. We're getting close to what, $800 a flower now. And I agree the flowers look nice, but I'm not sure if they look $800 a flower nice. I understand the idea that you're saying that other vendors didn't bid on it, and you point that maybe people could have looked at it. I believe my firm is signed up for the bid network, and I can go through and click on any bid that's out there. It doesn't mean that I'm serious looking at it. Did we have any other vendors that inquired? Or more importantly, I believe last year this was the only vendor that bid on it as well, correct?
We did not bid it out last year. This vendor was found through Deanna McGee in 2021. She had researched it for multiple years, trying to find a vendor, and this was the only one that would do an all-inclusive service. And so for the past 3 years, we've just went with them. And my board, and I believe members of City Council, suggested to bid it out, and so that's what we did finally this year.
Have we reached out to other municipalities that have flowers to see? what they
I
do?
have reached out to probably a dozen different DDA directors and to try to get who they use. A lot of them use their DPW for the maintenance. I've reached out to the ones that do use landscape companies for installation, and I got no responses.
Brighton uses Landscape Design and Associates downtown Brighton. correct?
Brighton uses this company, all-inclusive contract, and so does Milford as well. So they basically do a big loop. They come out here, do us, do Milford, and then go back to Brighton and do Brighton.
I mean, I'd really like us to see if there's a way that we could do this more economical. If push comes to shove and the recommendation is for 1 year, I'd like to, not wait to February or March of next year to be talking about this again.
Right.
And to really figure it out sooner than later if this is really viable to keep doing this. I mean, we started at 27,000, 28,000, went to 40-some thousand, and now we're in the 50s in less than 4 years. There's a lot of other things I think that residents would benefit from more than flowers. Maybe that's just my opinion.
I don't disagree, but, inflation rates and, I don't set the rates, I asked them to bid it, and this is what they bid, so.
Thank you.
The one other note I would like to make on that is I also do not disagree that the price has increased tremendously over the years. Although I will say in past years, our very first year we only had 60 baskets. Starting in year 2 or 2022, we moved up to 78 baskets, so that increased the scope. And in 2022, we only had 4 months of watering because there was a disease on some of the flowers, so they were up for a shorter term. So starting in 2023 was the first year that we had the full 6-month term that we were responsible for paying for because we were provided that service. It's still a significant increase from the $46,000 that was called for in the contract last year for 2024. But I did just want to point out that over time, the program has grown as we've been able to add more poles, and have a wider reach within the downtown district. So that does account for at least some portion of those cost increases over time.
Thank you. Councilmember Smiley?
Thank you, Councilman Gonchal. Hello, Ms. Cloutier. How are you tonight?
Good.
I have similar feelings that Councilman Behrman expressed. It's a lot for flowers. They do look nice. I want the flowers. I know you want I know the DDA wants the flowers. The kind of we haven't gotten to it yet, but the idea that we'll just do this for a year. Did that idea come from the DDA's meeting this morning, or is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So you guys are concerned too that, wow, this is a lot of money for flowers.
Yes, I mean,
Oh, good.
this was basically the same discussion we had this morning,
Yeah.
so.
And by just, well, let's do I'm asking, this is a question actually. So we're just going to do a year, and that'll buy us some time to see what else we could do.
The discussion was, let's approve a year and go back to the drawing board, look at other service options, whether it's in-house, out-of-house,
Yeah, understood.
And Assistant City Manager Benson and I are fully engaged in doing that research, so.
Sure, yeah.
And we will do that research now. I've already started some research today, so.
Great, I'm sure you have. And then is Mr. Sigma part of this too, and what role the DPW might be able to play, and
We did discuss this with Tim
he's
today.
all for it, he's got it covered. We're good.
No.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yes, we did discuss it. As you know, we keep adding, we just talked about the laundry list of projects for DPW and their capacity. The DDA is funding a full-time DPW employee right now. I'm not sure if my board would approve to do another DPW full-time employee.
Sure.
So,
And there's other things besides the employee, there was, you know, the equipment maintenance, it's not just.
we
going out with the
right,
water
we don't,
bucket.
we would have to
The
purchase
water.
all the equipment.
Or something. But anyway,
Find the
that's
people
what
to
we
do
want
it.
this year for, to figure
Yeah.
that out. You don't figure it out right now, right here. Gotcha, okay. I'm comfortable, I'm much more comfortable with that and the reasonings behind it. I'll hold off to make a motion in case there's more discussion.
Thank you. Councilmember Brendan Fox?
Do you want to know what the colors are going to be?
Anybody that asks colors and argues about them this year is getting removed from the meeting.
You don't have that power. He's drunk with power.
Actually, my question was already answered in that discussion, that I will support the 1 year and only the 1 year.
Thank you. Councilmember Sharp?
Thank you, Mr. Gottschall. Ms. Cloutier, so I know I promise I won't bring up colors because they've been better. Although they were the flowers themselves were kind of small last year. It's kind of weird. They had frost or something in
They started
the
small, but
greenhouses.
they were bustling. By
They
the
were, and you know what? Ours looked better longer than other cities. I noticed that ours got, so putting that aside. I did want to point out to council, we did budget $50,000 for this. The time to discuss the money for it, and when rather than be all shocked when it comes in at 50, is to say, we're not going to budget 50. So if we only do it for 1 year this year, what are we going to budget 3 weeks from now when we do our budget session? Because in here it says 55,000 for next year. Are we going to do 55, or are we going to put 0 in and try to figure it out later? We can't put 0 in because there isn't
No, we
any
would
money
put a
for it.
number in, and that would probably be that $55,000.
So, yeah, I mean, I like the flowers. I support having the flowers. It is expensive, but we have made more of them. Maybe we cut back on, some of them are kind of obscure locations too. Maybe we don't need 78 baskets. The other thing I wanted to point out is if we do it ourselves, you think 242 emails are a lot? Wait till people start complaining about the flowers. So you will have more emails. You'll have 242 a day of emails, people complaining about the flowers if DPW has to do it. So I can't support, based on what I know now and the discussion we've had in here and the discussions we've had regarding staffing and the discussions we've had regarding other DPW projects and the number of projects that Parks and Rec has on the punch list, no way could I vote for DPW doing flowers in Wixom. So I'll support 1 year while we try to figure out something else. But we better put that 55 in the budget session because it's going to be that much or more next year if we like the flowers, I think.
Absolutely.
So, okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to make a few comments before. But just in terms of my thoughts looking at this and the contract and the all-inclusiveness, I am not a florist, but it says watering 7 days a week. And I assume flowers maybe don't need to be watered 7 days a week. So there might be room to come down on their bid if we go lower.
Possibly, I can research that with the landscape company.
Okay.
But hanging baskets tend to dry out very quickly because they're getting the wind and from all around versus if they're in the ground, they hold the moisture more. So that is the reason for coming out every day to water.
Okay. Yeah, that was just one thing that struck me as an easy way. If we can do 3 or 4 times a week instead of 7, then hopefully the bid would come down. We had one bidder, as has been mentioned. I think being a public body and our budgets being publicly accessible, everyone looks and says, oh, what they put in the cap next year for flowers or whatever project, 50, okay. We'll do 55 or 48, whatever the case may be. So that probably plays into it. And I do agree, we have budget study sessions 2 months from now. So I don't, like, I don't know that a one-year contract gets us to where we need to be, since that isn't a year of you doing research time. It's really 2 months, and we have to know if we're buying equipment. So I'm not sure if we want to go 1 year, if we want to do 2 years, if we want to say change this to give authority to administration to up to a certain amount, and then talk to them about how many times we're going to water and can we get that down, try and figure it out administratively. But that is my thought, is it's not really a year, it's 2 months, and then we have to know. And so maybe 2 years might be better. But when Councilmember Behrman put it as $700 or $800 per pot, that's a crazy way to think about it. So to me, I would think that we could spend $50,000 helping businesses and promoting people coming to downtown Wixom. $50,000 poured into advertising on Facebook or what have you would go a heck of a lot further driving traffic than flowers. So those are my
Duly noted.
thoughts. Councilmember Smiley.
I'd like to amend my initial motion. I'd like to make a motion that the city council approve a 1-year agreement for downtown flower installation and maintenance with Landscape Design and Associates LLC of Brighton, Michigan, in the amounts of $14,469 for fiscal year 23-24 and $38,580 in fiscal year 24-25 from Downtown Flowers account number 248-729-956.016.
Support.
Thank you. We have a motion and support to amend to a 1-year contract. So any questions or comments or debate about the amendment? No. I did have one question. The amount that we're doing, I know Councilmember Smiley had mentioned it, we're currently in fiscal year 23-24. So we're approving next year, like this upcoming spring, correct?
Yes.
Getting in, and then a small portion of the next fiscal year, since that's July 1 through
That is
whenever
correct.
the flowers die.
Yeah, we got a little more specific on when the expenses occur.
Okay.
But yes, that is correct.
Okay,
It's all summer of 2020.
all right, thank you. Seeing no questions or debate, all those in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Okay, do we have to, we just he amended his own motion, so I'm gonna say we're good.
I believe so,
Okay.
yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. New business number 3 is recommendation of a resolution to authorize the city manager to vote to accept the Endo International PLC opioid-related reorganization plan and release the claims against the company, and to further authorize the city manager to accept future settlements and bankruptcy plans related to other entities after legal review. Any questions or comments from council? Councilmember Grundle Fox?
I just wanted to make sure that the city attorney has reviewed this, and it's their recommendation that we approve this, because as I read it, I think, oh my gosh, why are we doing this? But, I mean, I understand the thought is it's better to get something, I suppose, than nothing, but the city attorney did recommend that we do this.
Yes, and actually, the language, even the further authorization for the city manager, that was a suggestion directly from the attorney's office.
Okay.
Again, recognizing that this probably won't be the last bankruptcy related to the opioid settlements. We anticipate a lot of paperwork, but yes, this was their recommendation.
Thank you.
Councilmember Behrman?
My only feedback would be I'm fine with the city manager accepting these in the future, but if we could just maybe be notified through a memorandum, hey, I accepted another one and how much it is, type thing, just so we're still kept in the loop.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other comments? No? Good to go? We have a motion and a second to approve a resolution to authorize the city manager to vote to accept the Endo International PLC opioid-related reorganization plan and release the claims against the company, to further authorize the city manager to accept future settlements and bankruptcy plans related to other entities after legal review. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes. That concludes new business. The next item is called to the public. Are there any members of the public that would like to speak about any items not limited to agenda items? Seeing no one, we will close the second call to the public. City manager's comments. Assistant City Manager Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Gottschall. I will refrain from my own comments, as my monthly report was included in the packet, so if there are any questions, happy to answer. I will take note of Mr. Brown's city manager's update to highlight a few of our employees celebrating work anniversaries, including Melissa Harrison celebrating 28 years with the city on March 25th, Jody Gallo with 23 years, and obviously a few others, 5 years, 3 years, and 3 years. So thank you to all of them. And obviously you all already know this, but Mr. Brown is on vacation this week, so if there's anything that I can do to help, please don't hesitate to reach out. Same to the general public.
Thank you. City Council comments. Councilmember Sharp.
Thank you, Mr. Gottschall. I just have one comment for Ms. Cloutier. Red and white. Enough said.
They're going to be pink and yellow.
No!
You just couldn't do it.
We did red and white last
You
year.
can't kick me out during comment sessions.
Oh, he's got the gavel now.
We did red and white last year.
I'm sure they'll be beautiful, whatever you get. They really did look good last year. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Grunland Fox.
I'd like to congratulate and thank all those celebrating work anniversaries, and thank you again, Crystal. That was a great presentation.
Councilmember Smiley.
Thank you, Councilmember Gatchell. Instead of pink and yellow, they were blue and yellow. That would really get them going.
That would. Maybe next year.
Yes. So next Tuesday, I believe, is the first of 4 elections this year. So good luck to Kathy and Crystal on the first round. Hopefully it's smooth and uneventful for y'all. The only other thing, I'd just like to give a little plug to the Wixom Gala. I believe you have to get your tickets by the end of this week or something like that, and should be a good time. And I'm going to it. And I hope to see many of you here, and along with many residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Behrman.
Thank you. Thank you, Crystal, coming tonight and giving your presentation. I know how much you looked forward to this. And the only other thing I had for possibly Tim, I won't send him an email since he doesn't, behind the properties that we recently acquired by the park, it seems like the tenant that left a bunch of trash out back. It's very noticeable from like drafting table and the coffee shop's parking lot. If anything we can do to just kind of clean that up, I think it would look nicer for the downtown area. But beyond that, no additional comments.
Thank you. I have no comments this evening, other than for the mayor to watch this back. We didn't burn the place down while he was gone, so that's a success. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Thank you.